It could be someone at the university or a tertiary institution, any place of learning. Maybe you are out there and you're wondering, can I turn this into something that could transform my life? How can I look at the brighter side of this situation? It is for that reason that we came up with an idea, and thanks to Doreen Buchanan, who conceived the idea that maybe we should reach out to students. And this is something that we decided to jump on right away. And we decided, why wait when you can do it right away? And it's for that reason that we are here. And so today we are going to be exploring, how can a student remain sober in these dizzying times? How can you still remain productive? How can you still pursue your education goals? How can you still go after those targets that you had when you started your course or your program, whatever you are studying? This morning, we have a wonderful panel of a wonderful team of panelists that is going to be brainstorming, sharing their insights. And these are people that are well accomplished. These are people that have done amazing things in their own professions, but more importantly, they are involved with students in one way or another. And from their introductions, you'll be able to see exactly what I am talking about. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this webinar. A few things that you need to have at the back of your mind to consider as we go through this. One, we are going to be here for 2 hours. So I want to encourage you. A webinar like this, many people tend to do many other things. You might be here and maybe you are, I don't know what you're doing at home or wherever you are. I want to encourage you to give this your maximum attention. I have my notebook, okay, ready to take notes, and a pen, okay? So I want to encourage you to get yourself a notebook and a pen, sit down and learn. Avoid the temptation to do many things as you do this one thing, because we are not here every day. This is the first of its kind since the lockdown began. I have not been part of a student's webinar. This is the first of its kind. So I really want to urge you to make the most of it. Maximize the 2 hours that we are here. You have invested your time. We have already paid for this. You're not paying anything for it. A lot has been invested in it. Our panelists are very busy people. They have spared their time to come and empower you this morning. So give them the best of your attention. The best compliment you can give to our panelists is to pay attention. So the first thing I will urge you to do is to pay attention. Don't multitask. Don't do anything else. Don't be busy on your WhatsApp. Focus on one thing, get it done, move on to something else when we are done. Secondly, as I've already mentioned, have a notebook and a pen so that you can take down a few things that might trigger some thoughts in your mind, and also make use of the chat in case there is someone says something that you really feel this is key, this is important, go right ahead and put it in the chat. Eliminate distractions, we have already mentioned that. And then we shall have a break later on in our program. So look out for that. We shall have an opportunity to go and maybe catch a drink, or maybe visit the bathroom, or maybe do anything that you would like to do in those 5 minutes. So we have a break. We shall not be seated here for long. And our program is going to run as follows. We shall begin with a thematic appetizer. That simply means that the panelists will be sharing with us some of their insights about the theme. Remember the theme? Resilient, ebullient, proficient. How youth, let me just get that right. Okay, the secrets of youth that are staying sober in these dizzying times. So that is going to be our theme. So our panelists are going to be doing a great job for the first 45 minutes, sharing with us their insights about this theme. And then later on, from the registrations that you made, we picked up some points of question, and I will be bringing that in the panel discussion session, which we shall have for about 15 minutes. And then we shall have a break. And when we return, we shall respond to your questions. So if you have any question, please type it in the chat. We shall be happy and delighted to respond to your question. And I truly believe that you will walk away from here today a much better person than you came. With that, I would like to hand you over to Doreen, who will introduce our panelists. Over to you, Doreen.
Thank you, Jesse. With us, we have 3 panelists. That is Ms. Charity Mwanafunzi, Mr. Harvard Sabiti, and Alice Damura. They're going to share a brief introduction and enlighten us about the theme, like Jesse has mentioned. and we shall proceed to introduce the first speaker. Thank you. Over to you, Charity.
All right, so Doreen, kindly introduce Charity. Okay, Doreen, let me do that for
Charity,
you.
no, it's okay, Jesse, I'm here.
Okay.
Charity Mwanafunzi
Right.
is an experienced youth worker in the NGO sector who has been in this sector for the last 8 years. She is passionate about youth and women empowerment, education, and charity. She continuously seeks out opportunities and supports teams and individuals to rethink their purpose for their existence. She is a mentor, a trainer who inspires teamwork, personal development, as well as influencing and taking pride in success at all levels. Charity is a former guild president, Chambogo University, the class of 2009 to 2010, and the winner of East African Female Public Speaking Award in 2010. Charity is an alumni for the Norway Exchange Program, formerly FK Exchange Program in Norway. Currently, she is part of a dynamic team at the International Office and project team of Chambogo University, where she is responsible for project management and exchange programs. Since 2020, Charity took up another role at Google Day TV Uganda, where she hosts a weekly talk show called The Political Podium. She is a member of Inspire Leaders Forum, an alumni of the Certificate in Public Speaking and Presentation Mastery course of Inspire Leaders International, and she joins the students' webinar today to address the issues of the young people. Charity, you're very welcome.
Wow, thank you so much, Doreen. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm really, really excited that we are having this particular students' webinar today. And I want to thank the entire leadership of the Inspired Leaders International for thinking about the students, for thinking about us. I am one of the students that has been particularly affected as well in the pandemic, as I'm currently taking my master's program at Uganda Management Institute. To let you know that I am passionate about change, I'm passionate about leadership, empowerment of young men and women. I'm passionate about education and charity, and with specific interest in supporting them to discover who they are, to discover their purpose in life, and motivate them to realize their dreams. And we don't have to apologize for that. I have actively been engaged in the youth empowerment endeavor, just like Doreen mentioned, for close to 8 years now, specifically with high school engagements, university students, as well as the local communities where I live and where I study, as well as where I work. It is important to note and understand that each and every one of us has a unique purpose for their existence. And along the pursuit of the same, it is inevitable that we will come across humps, we will come across roadblocks, we will hit the potholes, and sometimes accidents and injuries at the same time. We will encounter this, and what defines us is not how long we get stuck in there. It is not how long we're going to cry and lament about this, but our ability to pick ourselves up, to focus on the bigger picture, and relentlessly pursue our dreams and visions is very, very important. So I want to believe that each and every one of you, the students, I realize they are also the working class that have joined us. So I want to believe that your choice to join today's webinar is one of the most amazing decisions that you have made for yourself. And who knows, this is gonna mark your turning point. I therefore invite you to pay attention share your experiences, ask questions. And just like Maya Angelou says, I can be changed by what happens to me, but I refuse to be reduced by it. Stand firm, be resilient, hang in there. You will be able to achieve your dreams. Thank you so much, Doreen.
Thank you, Charity. And with us, we also have Mr. Herbert Sabiti. Mr. Herbert Sabiti is Sabit Herbert is a businessman and entrepreneur with an eye for excellence, integrity, hard work, and godliness. He currently serves on the Provincial Board of Land Management Services of Church of Uganda. He is the president of Pastor Student Association of Uganda and the National Council member of Kigezi Ankole Anglican Youth Missionaries. Herbert is at the moment the managing director and co-founder of Ridgeline, a fast-growing real estate firm in Uganda. He is the founder of Ridgeline College, a business training institution, as well as the founder and director of Iconic Projects, a construction firm in Uganda. As a member of Inspired Leaders Forum, ILF, Herbert is passionate about raising a generation of young people that are powerful in deploying their potential, surveying business, and influential in their families and communities. The transformation that he desires to see in the country and indeed in the world is what he knows will be brought about by the generation of young people that are visionary, daring, and strategic. He recently authored a book titled Young and Flourishing, and also launched the Young and Flourishing Network with a vision of raising and equipping, empowering a generation of young people leading the transformation of Africa. He holds a bachelor's degree in business administration and a master's of business administration, all from Makerere University. He is married to a beautiful wife called Sabiti Nai, with 3 biological children, Lanelle, Othniel, and Renee. He joins the Inspired Leaders Students webinar today to share his experience and offer great wisdom to students that are ready to stay sober and even flourish in a season that leaves someone busy. Herbert, you're very welcome.
Thank you so much for that humble introduction. I'm also happy and very glad to be here today. And especially, I was born and raised to motivate, encourage, train, and raise youth to become world-class leaders. That's why I was born. I believe that's why I was born. Now, today we are sharing the secrets of youth who are staying sober in this pandemic season. How do you stay sober? I'm sharing the secrets of how to stay sober and also the secrets of those successful youth who will stay sober in this pandemic season. And I'm going to briefly go through how can you be sober, and then I jump into the secrets. Number one, knowing that you are not in this alone is very, very important. Knowing that you are not in this alone is very important. The COVID-19 pandemic has been a challenge to everyone across the globe. This morning, I'm here to tell you that I might have no idea what you are going through as a youth. You definitely do not deserve it, like everyone on earth. Like me, I don't deserve what I'm going through right now. However, you need to know from today that you are not alone in this fight. Those who keep hope alive will come out through this victorious. The secrets. What are the secrets of staying sober? Number one, taking responsibility. Your ability and willingness to discipline yourself To accept personal responsibility for your life is essential to happiness, health, success, achievement, and personal leadership. Accepting responsibility is one of the hardest of all disciplines, but without it, no success is possible. Take responsibility. The failure to accept responsibility and the attempt to foist responsibility for things in your life that make you unhappy onto other people, institutions, and situations completely distort cause and effect. It undermines your character, weakens your resolve, and diminish your humanity. They lead to making endless excuses. Excuses like this, and now I am going to stop school because now I don't know even the class I'm in. But if you take your responsibility, you remain sober in this pandemic season. Secret number 2, having a vision. If you don't know where you are going, any road will take you there. It's very bad and dangerous. So I want you from this webinar to go into a secret place. Examine your life. I call it SWOT analysis. Examine your life, write down. 1, your strengths. What kind of skills or talents do I have that I can develop in this season? Do you see a man skilled in what he's doing? He will stand before kings and princesses. He will not stand before unknown men. That is Proverbs chapter 22, verse 29. You need to develop your skills first, know your purpose here on earth while you are still breathing. Your weaknesses. From this webinar, as I have said, I encourage you also to have a quiet place somewhere with a pen and a book. Write down all your weaknesses and purpose to work towards overcoming those weaknesses. Your willpower will make you install a new habit to flourish. Like I mentioned, take responsibility of your life. Opportunities around you. Even amidst lockdown, there are many opportunities around us. You need to discover what you are passionate about and how it can help you and can help the community around you. This is knowing your skill, purpose to develop the skill, and then serve the community. You see, there are many problems and challenges around to solve. When you solve the challenges, you will automatically flourish. The conventional definition of money is medium exchange of goods and services. The medium exchange of goods and services. When you have a good to give out or a service you can offer, then you will get money and you will flourish. After knowing this, you will not give up to drugs, you will not give up to you young girls to men, because you have a rich offer to the world. Threats. You need also to discover the threats that are hindering your dream. You know there are many wolves out there in the world. If you are not sober in this period, in a period like this, you will be swallowed, you will be eaten up by these wolves. Wolves waiting for you are like sugar mummies and daddies, bad friends. By the way, you need to be sure the people you are friends with. Make sure that your friends add value to your life as much as you add value to them. The secret, number 3, mentors. You can remain sober if you have trusted mentors around you. There are people like us who have already burnt our boats. We have seen birth and death alternate. We can guide you to go through it in this season. I remember a certain girl I was studying with in a secondary education, and she was taken up by a wolf called DJ in Kabale town. Recently, when I was in the village, I saw her and I felt so bad what she went through. Of course, the DJ abandoned her. She has 3 children and she has nothing. She is totally hopeless. She's in a hopeless situation. I don't want you to go through the same. So with many mentors around you to guide you through it. As I finalize, I want us to go through very fast the steps you can take to form your personal goals, because you need to have personal goals if you want to remain sober in this situation. Very fast, number one, you need to decide what exactly you want. Be specific of what you want to increase, what you want. For example, if you want to increase income, decide on a specific amount of money you want at the end of the year. Say, I want 50 million. If you want to excel in academic, like if you are in O level, you don't say, I am going to excel. You need to put it down, write it down, put down the aggregates you want to achieve. Maybe like 8 aggregates. Like I said in step 2, write it down. A goal that is not in writing is vague and insubstantial. It has no force, effect, or power. But a written goal, because of something that you can see, touch, read, and modify if necessary, it has that willpower. Step 3, set a deadline for your goal. Pick a reasonable time period and write down the date when you want to achieve it. If it is a big goal, set a final deadline and then set a sub-deadlines or interim steps between where you are today and where you want to be in the future. A deadline serves as a forcing system in your brain, just as you often get more done when you are under the pressure of a specific deadline. Your subconscious mind works faster and more efficiently when you have decided that you want to achieve a goal by a specific time. And step 4, very fast, make a list of everything you can think of that you could possibly do to achieve your goal. As Henry Ford said, the biggest goal can be accomplished if you just break it down into enough small steps. For example, you can make a list of obstacles and difficulties. You can make a list of additional knowledge and skills that you will need in order to achieve your goal. Make a list of the people whose cooperation and support you require to achieve your goal. Make a list of everything that you can think of that you will have to do, and then add to the list as new tasks and responsibilities occur to you. Keep writing until your list is complete. Step 5, organize your list by both sequential and priority. What do I mean? Sequential requires that you decide what you need to do first, what you need to do second, and what you need to do later on. In addition, a list organized by a priority enables you to determine what is more important and what is less important. Step 6, take action on your plan immediately. Take the first step and then the second step and the third step. Get going, get busy, move quickly, don't delay. Remember, procrastination is not only the thief of time, it is the thief of life. The difference between successes and failures in life is simply that winners take the first step. Winners take the first step. Step 7, finally, do something every day that moves you in the direction of your major goal. This is the key that will guarantee you success. Do something 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Do anything that moves you at least one step closer to the goal that is most important to you at that time. Over to you, Doreen.
All right.
Thank you, Harvard.
Just before Doreen comes,
Yes, Jesse.
Yes, just a moment. Thank you so much, Herbert and Charity, for the great sharing this far. Charity and Herbert have shared with us some really deep truths, and some of the things that I'm picking out, I don't know what it is that you're getting from this, but one of the things that Herbert has just mentioned was the issue of taking responsibility, and I felt that is something that is very essential, not only for you as a student, but also for me, taking responsibility for your life in this season. He has also given us a 7-step process that we can utilize and apply to still achieve our goals, regardless of what is happening. So I want to encourage you, take some notes and type in the chat. And I also picked something very profound from Charity just before Doreen introduces our last panelist. She mentioned that challenges are inevitable. Challenges are inevitable. Even if there was no pandemic, there would still be some challenges somewhere. So you have to pick yourself up and focus on the big picture. Those are some of the things that I'm picking from our first 2 panelists. So let me see, what are you getting from our panelists so far? Kindly type in the chat. What has stood out for you in the few minutes that we have been on? Before we proceed, let me first see what is coming through, what is standing out for you. Thank you, Jethro. You say procrastination is not only the thief of time, it is also the thief of life. Fantastic. Well put. Thank you so much, Sabiti. And thank you, Jethro, for capturing that. Any other? Yes, Angelica was appreciating Charity. Samuel says, consistency is key. Absolutely true. Keep on keeping on. Keep on doing the things that you're supposed to be doing, even in this lockdown. Consistency is key, regardless of what is happening. Thank you. Please keep those responses coming. I will be frequently looking at what you're typing and what you're learning, because what matters most is not what they say, but what you take out. I will just read one more as we introduce our final panelist. From Derek, he says that a dream that is not written down is fake. You know, it's merely a wish. So taking time to write down your dreams. Thank you so much. I will come back to you, Doreen, to introduce our final panelist.
Thank you, Jesse. Our next panelist, Mrs. Alice Damrea, is a certified John Maxwell leadership coach, trainer, and mentor. She is a teacher, both by profession and vocation, a leader and human resource specialist who understands what it takes to empower someone to become the best version of themselves. Commonly known as the silent mentor, Alice holds a bachelor's of Arts degree majoring in literature, a postgraduate diploma in education, a master's degree in literature from Makerere University, and a certificate in public speaking and presentation mastery from Inspired Leaders International. She has also attended various seminars and workshops in human resource management, administration, and leadership around the world. After working with the International Committee of Red Cross for 15 years, as the head of human resource, Alice is now the director of St. Mark's College, Namagoma, leading 131 employees and about 2,000 students. She is a humanitarian at heart who believes in being a gift to the world. Because of that, she now serves as a board member of Wedding Day Insurance Services in the Buganda Kingdom, a board chairperson of Concern for the Girl Child, the Finance Committee chairperson, and synod member of West Buganda Diocese, the vice chairperson School Management Committee at Gayaza Junior School, among others. At her school, she has initiated several programs to inspire and transform students as a monthly inspirational moment and other mentoring initiatives. She therefore joins the team of speakers for the Inspired Leaders Students webinar based on her undoubted passion to transform the lives of young people in this country. Alice, you're very welcome.
Thank you so much, Doreen, for that kind introduction. I would also want to take this opportunity to appreciate Inspired Leaders International for initiating the students' webinar. I know that most of us students, we are out there feeling a little lost, or not only a little, but maybe lost with this pandemic and all the things that are happening in our space. But we are grateful that we always have opportunities to make our lives better. And that's the essence why we have this students' webinar. I want to appreciate my dear friend Samuel Bekutana, the CEO, then Doreen and Jesse for putting this together, and also my fellow panelists, Harvard and Charity. Thank you so much for sharing. I'll pick it up from there. So much has been said by Charity and Harvard, but I just want to tell you that if I echo what they have said, it means that that's the power of the nugget. Everything that is repeated in our lives, it means that it's very, very important. So I may not deviate a lot from what Charity and Harvard have said. I'm just going to compound it. This morning, they gave us a topic that says the secrets of the youth who are staying sober in this disease season. As the secrets, we're talking about the secrets. And the beauty is that most of the secrets are within our space, are within our reach. Things that can make us better people are within our reach. So I picked on specifically that word, ebullient. I think coming from a background of a literature student, we love high sophisticated words, and being ebullient is something that I picked on, but I also realized we need strength from within. When everything outside us seems to be falling apart, we need to be strengthened from within. The inner person in us should be strong enough to take on whatever is happening and challenges that we are meeting. Because like Charity said, challenges will come our way anyway. We cannot run away from these challenges. So ebullient is actually staying cheerful, being enthusiastic and full of energy, irrespective of what is happening. And this doesn't come across easily, because some of us are young, some of us have never been challenged to this point. Some of us have been extremely cushioned by our parents. Some of us are babies, we're the last ones. So we have cushions everywhere. And going through the phase that we are going through is actually quite hard on us. But I want to say that each one of us is going to take responsibility of ourselves by first building a positive mindset. Nobody is going to help you transform that mindset for you. You need to build a positive mindset. In this disease season, we can only stay intact with our lives. We can only be in charge if we have a positive mindset. When I talk about some of these things, I always make reference to my timeless record book. And my timeless record book is actually the Bible. And I'm picking a nugget from one of the profound writers in the Bible, and that is Paul. Paul was a tent maker, meaning was a businessman. Paul was a preacher. Paul was a lawyer. Paul was trained by some of the best philosophers of the time, Galileo. So I can anchor into his abilities as somebody who would help me to be a better person. And he talked to the Philippians, and that was in chapter 4, verse 8. And he said, whatever is true, I want to allude him. He said, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, praiseworthy, your thoughts should carry that. If you are going to build a positive mindset, because your mind is a powerful thing, when you fill it with positive thoughts, your life will start to change. So as you sit down in this pandemic, as you look at the circumstances around you, and nothing seems to be working out well, is to go back and ask, if I'm saying that everything is gloom and doom, is it the truth? No, it is not the truth. There are opportunities out there. There are possibilities out there, taking responsibility for my life. So we need to demolish the old mindset. The old mindset spoke that things are just going to happen in more or less on autopilot. I wake up in the morning, the new term opens, the new term ends, I go home for my holidays, I do my shopping. It was actually on autopilot. Now it has been halted. But does that mean it's the end of my education? No. So we need to build a positive mindset. And then King Solomon, he says in Proverbs 23:7, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. If you are going to think about failure, believe me, you're going to experience failure. It's going to begin unfolding before you. So let's think positively. Let's build a positive mindset. The Rotarians, I can also allude the Rotarians, they say, whatever we think, say, or do, first, is it the truth? So what we are thinking about now, is it really the truth? Is it true that we're not going back to school? Is it true that we shall not finish our education? Is it true that we shall not live our dreams? Is it true? It is not true. Let's hang on to the truth, because at the end of the day, once we carry a positive mindset, we'll see our lives unfolding with the change that we would want to see. Let's move on to the next slide. Developing a great attitude. Many of you know that that gentleman is called Usain Bolt. And like Herbert mentioned, it is important, it is key to have a vision for our lives. And I'll still make reference to my timeless record book, the Bible. Habakkuk says in chapter 2, verse 2, that write down your vision. Have a clear vision. So write down your vision clearly. Maxwell, in his book, Put Your Dream to a Test, he says you need to have clarity of thought. At this point in time, while you're building your positive mindset, you want to develop a great attitude, that dream you've always cherished. While you are in school, you said, I'm going to be an engineer, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a nurse, I'm going to be a teacher, I'm going to do this. Whatever you are living for, develop a great attitude by writing down your vision. Make it clear for you. If it's unclear for you, then you're not ready to pursue it. But I know that right now, many of us want to accomplish our education. So write it down. I need to get that degree, irrespective of what is happening. I need to go back to school. I need to finish high school. I will finish high school. I will not do this. I will not engage in activities that hinder me from making it up to the top, because that has always been your dream. What is your vision? Write it down with clarity. Run with it. Whoever comes, you will say, no, I'm hanging in there, but I'm waiting until school opens. And once it opens, I'm going to give it my very best. We are talking about being in a dizzying season where we're first. We saw some of the concerns that were raised is about financial stress, academic stagnation, staying in the same class while growing in years, idleness, depression, uncertainty, loss of time. These are actually challenges that are realistic with us. But that is the purpose of being ebullient. That is the purpose, that irrespective of what is happening, I'm going to develop a great attitude, that whatever has a beginning always has an end. And I'm going to live my dream. Because as I develop the enthusiasm within me, life is not gloom and doom. I'm looking at a brighter future and not what is actually happening in my space right now. So the greatest conquer of fear for the future is knowledge. And I appreciate at this point in time that we are empowering ourselves with knowledge to become better. So if we're talking about financial stress and you're saying, oh, I'm financially stressed, first ask yourself, do you have anybody whom you're financially responsible for? Realistically, do you have anybody that you are financially responsible for? If you are not, then there's no need to be worrying about finances. But if you are, then you begin to get down and see, how best can I deal with my financial stress? And people out there are willing to help. Don't hold it in there. Share with people who can be able to help you. This brings me to a story of a teacher I listened to. This teacher teaches in Kololo SS. It's unfortunate I've forgotten her name, but she was sharing with us her experience. She was the second born, and her eldest brother had to go to Makerere to university, and he opted to do education. Why? Because he could easily get employed. They were a family of 10. Their parents could not afford education, but they knew that going to school was the only way they would make it in life. And because they knew that going to school would be the only way they would make it in life, when she got to senior 4, they didn't have money for her to proceed to HSC. So her brother told her, let me go to university. In my second year, I will work and I'll pay for you, but stay at home and keep yourself safe. Because every action that we take has consequences. If you want an education, stay home, do whatever it takes to stay home, but I'm going to go, but in my second year, I'll go and work and be able to pay for your tuition. And that's exactly what happened. She stayed home for 2 years. While her friends were accomplishing senior 6, she was just enrolling for senior 5. So the brother got a job in his second year as a teacher. He started teaching and started paying for her. So she also said that in our family, we have more teachers because we realized that actually teaching pays more readily than probably other, forms of, maybe true or not true, but in her circumstance, that is actually what transpired. But I loved it because she knew, she hung on to her dream. She developed a great attitude that despite the fact that there is no money at home, if my brother is saying he's going to teach and pay for me, I'll be patient until this happens. So that is very important. Some of you have challenges of online classes and you're saying, we have online classes, I don't have data. Excellent. Yes, I hear you. Those who are having online classes, let them go ahead and do the online classes. For those who do not have online classes, master the content that you have at home, master it. Now, let me tell you, the detail is when you go back to school, both of you will have a catch up to do. Those who have been doing online classes will have to master the content they had prior. And you who didn't have data, you're going to be catching up with the online classes material. So all of us have something to catch up with. Have a positive attitude. It is well. It is not gloom and doom. When you talk about idleness, we're idle, we don't have much to do. There is so much to do because this is the moment where you can be learning the skills of life. I always tell my children here that every house chore is a potential business. If you talk about cleaning the house, clean it so well, extraordinarily well, you'll be able to maybe have cleaning services for the future. If you are cooking, cook so well that probably, and adapt to so many menus, because probably tomorrow you'll own a restaurant. If you are babysitting your young siblings, we have daycare services. We need daycare services. So if you're washing your parents' car, wash it so well. Probably tomorrow you own a wash bay, a car wash bay. Or if you're doing laundry, do it so well. So every house chore is a possible business entity. Then when you talk about depression, some of us are saying, oh, I'm depressed. Yes, depression really is derived from anger, from the blame game, and from the inability to do anything. That's why we are depressed. But I can't say your response to whatever has happened in your life is your responsibility. And if you are hurting, if you are grieving, just walk the journey, but knowing that one day you'll get out of the woods and you'll be able to actually celebrate your life other than conforming to depression. So conform your thoughts to what matters, and your perception seat is key. Conforming to thoughts, your thoughts to what matters. What matters now is us actually looking ahead and seeing a brighter future. The other thing I would want to say, the secret is to make wise choices. The Chinese proverb says, a wise man makes his own decision, an ignorant man follows the public opinion. You cannot choose to write down your vision or dream and then begin to follow what everybody is suggesting to you. There is something that you would want to do and want to achieve. Then you cannot talk about peer pressure. Oh, I did this because it was peer pressure. You need to be accountable for your personal life. Please take charge of your life by making wise choices. You need to have a growth plan. Seek mentorship. Share that challenge. Be candid with the truth. Find somebody you trust and even inform them that I have come to inform you because I trust you. If you trust an adult, they'll always make sure that they keep whatever you've shared closest to their hearts. And all problems have a solution. A problem shared is a problem halved. So let's not hang on to our problems because there is always a way out. Let's have growth plans for ourselves as we prepare for the future. Writing your future today determines your destiny tomorrow. John Wooden said, there is a choice you have to make in everything you do. Even when you wake up in the morning and you just sit, I'm just going to fold my hands. Yes, you fold your hands and nothing will happen. So let's ensure that we make choices in everything that we do. So keep in mind that in the end, the choice that you make will actually make you. Everything in your life is a reflection of the choices that you have made. And choices are the best way to change your life. So start with yourself. If you get better, your life, if you get better, your life will get better. Get a routine that works for you. In this pandemic, in this moment when there's a total lockdown, if there is need to read a book, if there is need to do a house chore, if there is need to study and master content, if there is need to be an online class, get a schedule that works for you. Because if you get better, your life will definitely get better. Finally, we are here in this webinar, but it is important for us to apply the knowledge that we have acquired. When you apply the knowledge, you will grow, you will be able to listen to whatever is being said, you're going to read, you're going to learn, you're going to create, you're going to share, you're going to think, you're going to understand, you always be inspired. So it is important to apply that knowledge that we have acquired. Find somebody to read a book with, find somebody to share the knowledge you have acquired, find an avenue to express. For example, sit down as a family and write your visions together so that you can have accountability partners along the way. Have an understanding of what it takes. I would want to, because they say that the knowledge that we practice spells the wisdom we've acquired. And I want to borrow the lyrics of David Ekene and let it be a part of our confession to build ebullience or to be ebullient. He says, my tomorrow must be greater than today. No matter what I face, no matter what I see, no matter what comes my way, no matter how I cry, one thing I know that is definite in my heart, tomorrow must be greater than today. It is a dizzying season, but tomorrow must be greater than today. What do I need to do? I need to build a positive mindset, develop a great attitude, make wise choices, and apply the knowledge I have acquired. Why? I choose to write my future today with the ink of a positive mind, with great attitude, wise choices, so that I can live my destiny tomorrow. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alice. Well put, well stated. Great. Thank you so much. A ton of insight there for us to chew on. Amazing. I loved that last statement that you mentioned, that no matter what I face, no matter what comes up against me, no matter what happens to me, my tomorrow is going to be better than my today. Thank you so much, Alice, and thank you so much to our panelists. Please keep those comments coming in. What have you taken away from our panelists so far? What have you learned from Alice? What have you picked from Herbert? And what have you picked from Charity? I truly believe that when you attend a webinar like this, information is one thing, transformation is another. When you capture those insights and you begin to take them into application, that is when you begin to see your life change. And let me tell you, I don't know what has been happening in your life, but just this morning could change the course of your life and change and transform your destiny forever. So don't underestimate a moment of learning like today. Great. We'd like to move on now to our panel discussion, and we're going to have this going on for about 15 minutes. We picked up some questions that you shared when you were registering, and I'm going to ask my panelists to switch on their videos, and then we can get into this particular discussion. All right. I'm going to begin with you, Charity. Charity, you started us off so well, challenging us and encouraging us that challenges are inevitable. You don't have to make an appointment with them. They will just come and find you. In fact, there's a Nigerian proverb that says when challenges come and you say your house is fully true, say, no. I have my own seat, okay? I have my own seat. I am sorted, so challenges are inevitable. But Charity, I want to ask you, with your experience as a former student, a former guild president, and now an employee in the university, what practical things do you think a university student on the call right now, like Gail from Kampala International University, or Robina from Makere University, or Lydia from MOBS, what practical things do you think they can do to overcome the particular challenges that most university students or campuses are facing in this season, especially concerning the new world of online lectures, disorganized semesters, and uncertainty about when they will complete their courses? So there's a lot of uncertainty about when people are going to complete, disorganized semesters, challenges of online learning. What would you say to a university student on the call this morning? Charity.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jesse and Alice, as well as Herbert, for those amazing sharings, very heartfelt sharing. And I must say that I am a panelist, but I think this is also a moment of inspiration for me as well. This is a moment of rejuvenation for me at the same time. Jesse, the question you asked is very, very pertinent, because I shared in the beginning that I'm a student as well. I'm a student undertaking my master's program at Uganda Management Institute, and I'm particularly doing a master's in institutional management and leadership. This is a program that I enrolled for in 2019. And guess what? By now, 2021, the ideal would have been that I should be defending my research right now. I should be defending my thesis. But guess what? Last year in March, when we had only 2 weeks to go to do our end of semester 1 exams, boom, lockdown comes in. We never saw it coming. We were never ready for this. And we had to pack and go back home in anticipation that maybe it will just be a week. It will just be, maybe if it's long, then it will be a month and life will come back to normal. But, this wasn't the case. Days came into weeks came into months. And as we speak right now, we are over a year, and a number of months into a very unpredictable and uncertain situation. To start with, personally, I will share my experience that when this lockdown came in and all the disorganization that came with it in terms of, halted lectures, halted learning, we kept hoping that it would get better, but it wasn't. So I committed. I got bored. I was fed up of all of this because all we could do was wake up in the morning, have breakfast, watch a movie. I love the morning political shows on different TV stations. So I would watch those, take breakfast, and then the routine goes back, wait for lunch, watch another movie. And that was the routine. And I was thinking, this is not helping. I am not moving. I am not progressing. And in the first lockdown, there was not so much of online learning. It only happened really, really in a few schools. So even at our campus, we were doing nothing. We were not engaging in any study per se. I asked myself a question: how long is this going to go on? I had to accept the reality that the lockdown is here, the pandemic is here. I have no control over it. So the first number one thing for us as students, as young people out there, is to accept the reality. Accept that the lockdown is here and you have no control over it. Schools are closed. I mean, that's a fact. We have no control over that. But there are also other variables that we have control over. So in my case, I had to come down and rethink and re-strategize and reflect and ask myself, who was it? Alice and Herbert at the beginning and myself, we talked about the aspect of having a dream, having a goal that you want to pursue. So I asked myself, what is it that I want out of this? The truth is, at the end of the day, I want my master's. I want my master's degree, out of this all. But then how do I get there? So it was possible that lockdown was to be lifted anytime that no one knew, and maybe without a shadow of doubt, exams will definitely come, and I had to sit them. So I actually thought I would share a copy of my timetable I did in that lockdown, because I had to come down and see how many modules do I have. I had 6 modules. I looked at the lockdown period and say, how many days do I have? By then I was remaining with about 50 days. And I'm like, okay, this is perfect. So I made a schedule and I said, well, we are not in class, we are not doing anything, but I must make use of what I have now. I must prepare. I must be ready for the uncertainty, for the unknown. And it was intentional, it was deliberate. Was it the most fun thing for me to do in lockdown? No, guys, it wasn't the most fun thing for me to do. It was actually persistence. It called for resilience, and let me use the word preaching. I had to preach to myself. I had to encourage myself, because when Alice was speaking, she mentioned and said, we are a total sum of the actions that we did yesterday. Who we are today is a summation of the total actions of everything else that we did yesterday. So the mirror that we see ourselves today is a perfect reflection of our yesterday. So I had to do that and follow my timetable. Of course, not easy. Sometimes I would forget, sometimes I would take it up by another movie, but at least I kept going. And guess what? When lockdown was lifted, we were given only 2 weeks notice to do these exams. If you had never paid, you had to look for money in those 2 weeks. I personally had never registered. I had to pay and register within those 2 weeks. In addition, remember, now that is 2 weeks and I have to read 6 modules, but because I had to put to use my lockdown to good use, I made sure I summarized all my modules. I read them, I summarized them. Actually, after summarizing them, I was like, now I can watch my movie, because I felt I was ready. I felt I was ready. I felt even if they woke up tomorrow, it would be easier for me to go to my summarized module and reflect, and you get to understand the concepts and ready myself for the exams. And Jesse, to let you know that our exams released a month ago, and trust you me, my lowest performance is a grade point 4. I mean, that's the distinction, that's the lowest. I highly passed my exam, not because I was the most intelligent student, but because I had to purpose. I had to intentionally appreciate that here is the challenge, but how do I make the most out of it? Online learning is what I'm doing now. To let you know, currently, instead of being in my last year, I'm actually still doing my second semester. So every weekend, I am online. Challenges of data connection. You have the data, then there is another challenge of the connectivity, because we are totally in different places. And then before you know it, I mean, you are not online, or you can't even afford data, because that's a lot of data for the whole day. But what can I say to my fellow students, to my young brothers, to my young sisters? Let us accept that the lockdown is here. If you are struggling to find resources, for example, for your online learning, it is okay. It is not your problem, but what is it that you can do with what you have now? And if there is any help around you, the other thing to ask yourself is, how do I go about it? Are there friends, are there family members whom you can, reach out and ask for support? Let's not be shy about this. This is a pandemic. No one called for this. Let us talk about it. Let us talk about the challenges, because that's also one way of us, picking on the aspect of being resilient. Because one author says that when the going gets tough, we get tougher with the going. We only have to get tougher with the going. So accepting that it is here and we cannot change much about it, but definitely we can do something about it. Can someone donate some MBs for you? Perfect. If they cannot, do not blame yourself. Accept that this is not your mistake. Use the information you have. Read whatever you have. I mean, catch up, talk to a friend. You will realize that you're not alone in all this. That's what Harvard started with. You realize that it is not only you. Let us accept what we cannot change, but also try our level best to stay focused on the goal and on the dream. I can go on, Jesse, but one thing I can say, that one step in the right direction is better than 100 years of thinking about it. One step at a time. Thank you, Jesse.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Charity. Well put. You've hit you've hit right on the nail. I really love what you've said. Accept the reality. Focus on what you can do. There are things that you can do. Yes, there are things that you can't do, but there are also things that you can do. In fact, you should not let what you can do, you should not let what you cannot do stop you from doing what you can do. There are things that you can do. You can wake up early. You can get on that laptop. There are things that you can do. You may not go to class, but there are things that you can do right where you are. And I really love the emphasis on that. And I mean, it just reminds me of, I think it was Napoleon Hill who said, within every adversity, there lies a seed of equal or greater benefit. And I think that's what you've just demonstrated, that the first lockdown came and you were clueless, you didn't know what to do, and then you got your act together and boom, you excelled with top grade distinction. So congratulations, well done. And I truly hope and believe that if there are any university students on the call, those of you who are here right now, no more excuses. You either find a way or you make an excuse. And I truly believe that there is no limit to how far we can go if we change our mindset. Well put, Charity. Thank you so much. We'll move on to our next, Alice. I have a question for you. And I must say, I loved what you said when you mentioned that every household chore is a business. You know, we live in a country where we are frequently told that there are no jobs. Okay, yes, that's okay, but there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of work to be done. And if we can just embrace a work ethic with the right attitude, cleaning the tables, cleaning the floors, washing your parents' car, if you can focus on those work tasks, and then you transfer that attitude to the workplace, you will excel. I know a 17-year-old who was taught at home and raised from home to do all those things. By the age of 17, he was earning 1 million shillings and he was employing people. Think about that, by just switching the way you look at the things you do. So stop thinking that there are no jobs. There are a few jobs, but there is a lot of work. Thank you so much for helping us to understand that every household chore can be a business. So Alice, a question for you here. From your experience as a teacher, as a parent, as a mentor of young people, and someone who owns a great secondary school, a great educational institution, what practical advice could you give to certain high school students on the call right now? I saw someone called Baguma, King Solomon, someone called Rachel, who is helplessly finding it hard to be academically productive and keep on track with schoolwork due to the difficulties of an conducive home environment and confinement away from fellow students. So there could be the feel, okay, studying from home is quite unconducive, or I am away from it. What practical advice would you give to a high school student that is dealing and struggling with issues of that kind? Over to you, Alice.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jesse, for that question. It's actually quite baffling if somebody is in an environment that is not as friendly. You know, there are some students, when they go back home, everybody quickly forgets their students and they want to be engaged in everything that is happening at home. It means you go look after the cows, you go, you fetch water, you go into the garden and you dig, you go, you know, and you're taking care of your young siblings. Some of us who are elder siblings, we always worked as young mothers. You know, all this is happening. But at the end of the day, what I would want to share with all the students on call and what you can share with your students, do not forget your primary vision. You are not in school by accident. You did not go to school. Now, the pandemic has happened, but you are still a student, and that is your identity. That is why if somebody asks you and says, what are you doing? You quickly say, I would have been in senior 3, but I'm still, you know, because of the pandemic, I'm still in senior 1. You know, I'm supposed to be in second year. So let nobody make you forget that you are actually a student. Let that be in front of you. That's why I'm talking about write your vision with clarity. Yes, you are doing all these house chores, but you want to remind yourself, I am a student first, before any other thing. And I want to bring in a story for this lady from Zimbabwe who was married off at 11 years. And I think by the age of 20, maybe early 20s, she was a mother of 5. And her dream was actually to be an educated woman in Zimbabwe. And when the husband got to know that she's actually doing studies privately, he would beat her. The domestic violence wasn't because she wasn't doing anything right. Imagine getting married off at 11 and then taking her through all that kind of hostility because she simply wants to be an educated woman. And she said, I'm not giving up on this dream. And she talked to the mother because she was sold off at 11 years by the father, and she was paid, and a cow was paid as bride price for her. And she said, no, this has to change. So what happened? The mother told her, write down your dream and bury it. So she wrote down her dream because she taught herself how to read and write. And then she buried her dream. She wrote down the dream, but she buried it. And after 20 years of all the struggle, she's now a professor in the US, married. Actually, initially, she located to the US with her husband. When she struggled, she was able to get scholarships, and she was able to read. And then finally, she ended up in the US, where she's actually a professor today. This is what I would want to tell you. You only attract who you are. If you're in the academics fraternity, if you're in the space of being a student, and then all of a sudden you want to change into something like being a young mother or being this, people are not going to be attracted. They'll easily say, oh, she now has a child, or she now has 2 children. But it's to remember, I am a student first. You are going to attract the help that you need. Even when you go back to school and tell your teachers and say, you know what, teacher, back at home, I can't read, but please help me. I'm interested in excelling. Every teacher will throw their weight there to ensure that you excel. The responsibility comes from us as individuals. It is your responsibility to keep that vision in front of you all the time. Wake up in the morning on your bed, read that vision, read on that piece of paper and say, I am a student first. I am going to excel. I'm going to be an engineer. No, but that is going to determine me. Go and rear the cows. Go and look after the sheep. Go and look after the chicken. But knowing that if the opportunity comes for me to read, I'm going to sit down at night and make sure, because usually in the afternoon at around 3, people who are in the village setting, at around 3, or even here within the city environment, where you're not really encouraged to read, at around 3, everybody is like in a relaxed mood. As people are watching movies and so on, because you know your primary goal, you're a student first, go and read something, master that content. Because you carried your books home, then when you go back to school, engage your teachers. Everybody is willing to help.
Sorry, Alice, we seem to have had a connection and a challenge there with your connection. Okay, sorry, Alice, I think you'll be with us shortly. Sorry about your internet challenge. But I trapped what you had mentioned thus far. You did mention, remember that you are a student first, and that's very important for all of us to remember and to keep at the back of our minds. Remember that you are a student, and you will attract the help that you need. So reach out to someone responsible, and I'm sure if there's any help that you need, you can attract the help that you need. But most importantly, something that she emphasized, and I just want to reiterate, is remember that you are a student. So as a student, I like the acronym WIN, W-I-N. Focus on what's important now. So WIN, what's important now. If you want to win, focus on that. Great. Do we have Alice back in the room? Yes, please go right ahead.
Can I say something?
Go right ahead. Yes, please go right ahead.
On, just to add on to what Madam Alice was saying, on understanding your priority and appreciate that you are first a student, and then everything comes on board. I have a student, I'm a mentor. I talk to a number of young people, both in school and out of school. And one of them that I have been talking to, who is a law student, a second year law student at the university, has been contemplating to actually abandon school and go for Cheyo, if you understand what I'm talking about. So he wakes up this morning. We've been talking about a number of issues, and he wakes up this morning and tells me, Madam Charity, I think I'm going to go abroad and look for Cheyo. And it was as brief as that. And I'm thinking, where is this all coming from? You know, and in continuous engagements with him, I asked him, do you think this is the best decision that you can make for yourself now? Because abandoning school right now would mean that, you know, who knows, because there's a lot of uncertainty. Who knows that you might even not get an opportunity to go to school again. This is a student who is being sponsored by a guardian, not by a parent, but by a guardian. But having to focus on the priorities and knowing the right decisions to make is very, very important at this point in time. I know right now we are discouraged, we are emotional, we don't know what's gonna happen next, but let us keep a positive mental attitude, PMA. I think one of us, the facilitators, the panelists talked about it. I've done marketing before. In my senior six practice, there was a marketeer of some company as a way of, you know, putting some money in my pocket. And one of the greatest attributes is having a PMA, a positive mental attitude. I can see Sam is saying it's an MBA, a mental positive attitude. Yes, look at it differently, you know, look at it differently in all angles, it works. So let us not make decisions when we are emotional. Let us not make decisions when we are frustrated. And it is also advisable, let us not make decisions when we are very excited, super excited, because chances are very high that we might end up making irrational decisions at that moment. Give it time. Think about it, reflect of what impact is it going to create? What is the long-term impact? Because sometimes we only look at the short-term gains and we are not focusing on the bigger picture, like my fellow panelists were saying. Yes, I can see Miss Alice is back. It's great to have you back, Miss Alice. I was just making an addition to one of your submissions.
Thank you very much. Yeah, my laptop just actually hung and I realized, okay, I have to use something else. But you can continue, Charity. Hello?
Oh yeah, I think that is it. I was just making an addition of making the right decisions at such a time and to avoid making decisions when we are emotional, you know, because we are now stressed, the COVID and all that. I wish we had more time because we have a lot of stories to share, but it is important to keep our you know, emotional balance and such that we are able to maintain and contain the pressures that will come along because of the pandemic.
Maybe I'll just relay my final thoughts. I was saying that our success is equated to the sacrifices that we make. So we are not going to have it easy. We need to make a sacrifice, even if it means that you are sacrificing to say, I don't care what people think, I'll hold on to my dream. That is a sacrifice that you have made. When everybody's saying, no, we're not going back to school, you hang on to that and have a positive mental attitude. Thank you so much, Jesse. You can proceed.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alice. I was taking note of that. Our success is equated to the sacrifices that we make. Awesome. Well put. Thank you so much. We'll move on to our final panelist, and I'll ask Herbert a question. Herbert, I know that you've written a beautiful and wonderful book, Young and Flourishing. And I want to ask you, as someone who has spent some number of years helping many youth to live a focused and productive life, what workable action points would you give to anybody who feels that the future is on the line and probably does not know what is next? So how can they be young and flourishing, just like the title of your book? even in times when it's difficult to say that the future is bright. So how would you advise someone to be young and flourishing?
Thank you so much. I want to first mention this, that you need to examine your background. And now I'm 41 years, but I've seen that many there are many people who grew up in rich background, and they have maintained wealth. They have utilized the opportunities and they have remained wealthy. And there are people who grew in a rich background and they have destroyed all the opportunities around them, and they are struggling now. Very unfortunate. They are struggling. I know a number of them. And there are people who grew in a poor background and they are still poor. Very unfortunate. They are there and they are still poor. And there are others like me. I grew up in a very humble family, but I'm progressing very well. I'm flourishing. So it doesn't matter about your background, what you, who raised you. People say that who grew you. It doesn't matter who grew you, but it's up to you. It's your decision that you sign up to flourish. You decide to flourish. Number two, you dare. It's about daring. We have said, like my fellow panelists have said, you have to dare to do something. There are very many things to do out there. So you just dare to do something. Like I mentioned previously, that money is an exchange of goods and services. Dare to provide a service. Dare to provide a good. Like Alice has said, you can start training yourself to have a business, even in the midst of your compound. In the midst of your compound, in the midst of your home, you can decide to train yourself to do business. So you dare to start something new, you dare to do, actually you dare to stop watching TV. I know most of you are here listening to us this morning. Most of you have TVs, and because of this lockdown, your eyes are always on TV. You can dare to stop watching TV and read a book and utilize internet very well. You can dare. Then another practical step I mentioned about is mentors. You can look for physical mentors, and also you can reach out to mentors through these teachings like this webinar, or through watching audio. Watching YouTubes on a particular subject you want to flourish in. So you can get mentors. You can get both physical mentors. You can read a book like Young and Flourishing, and you can watch other people whom you admire, and then you learn from them. You can get mentors, and finally you can strategize. You can strategize, write down your goals like I mentioned, and then you will flourish. Thank you so much. The most important thing that I have forgotten is about money. Money, I normally say that money is just a seed. Everything that God created, He gave it a seed of multiplication. Whether every living thing, even if it is just the elephant grass out there, even if it is a mosquito, God gave it a gift of multiplication. So if you ever get money, for you students, if you ever get money and your mind is spending and spending, you will not flourish. You actually be a slave. So make sure that you take this one home, that money is used to multiply. So you have to use money for multiplication. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you so much, Albert, for responding to that in a very, very deep and very profound way. Thank you so much. So right now it is 10:28. I'm going to request, we would have taken a 5-minute break, but time is not on our side and we had planned to finish this at 11. It's only 10:28. I'm going to stretch us a bit and we maybe use 3 minutes. So at 10:31, we shall be getting into the question and answer session. If some of the questions are already in the Q&A button, so kindly type your question, not in the chat, but in the Q&A button. Where you see Q&A, that's where you type your question so that it's not lost in the comments. That's why it is put there for us to utilize. So at exactly 10:31, kindly get up a bit, stretch. It's not healthy for us to be seated in one place in the same way for 1.5 hours. So this is a good time for you to sit up, to stand up, stretch a bit, get a glass of water and run to the bathroom if you must, and then be back by 10:31 so that we can get into your questions. And hopefully, if we have enough time and we can get through them, the better. But if not, we shall still find a way to get a response to that question. So get up, stretch a bit, and let's see you in 3 minutes time. See you in a short while. All right. Time right now is 10:31, and as promised, we would like to get into our discussion of some of the questions that you have asked, and would like to get straight to that so that we can make the most of the time that we have.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Sam?
Yeah, I have them ready here, prepared. I've collected all of them.
Okay, so would you like to read them out? Maybe we go one by one.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay. A question from Angelica Galabuzi. And this is pointed to you, Charity. University is such a different ballgame from high school. It looks intimidating at times. May you please share your journey on how you became guild president in your university and any tips for students who aspire for student leadership, especially at the university? Beautiful question from Angelica. Over to you, Charity.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much, Jesse and Angelica. I will really try to be brief because I know that my guild president's story is really another story that we cannot have maybe in as much short time as possible. But I will try to brief. I just share a little bit of what it was. I am passionate about leadership and specifically about student leadership because I'm one of the people who believe that there is a lot of potential that is within us that is only waiting for an opportunity, that is only waiting for a spark, you know, to lit up or to light up. And all my secondary education and primary education, I was actively engaged in, you know, different leadership positions at my school and all that. But coming back to who I am, I must say that I was born in a very humble home, maybe like a number of us on this today. My father was a primary school teacher, and my mother was a home mom who was also engaged in subsistence farming, a very good supplement to our father's teacher's salary, in quotes, if you understand what I mean. So growing up with our parents was, I think for me, satisfactory. It was good enough. And my dream while growing up was that one day I would just have to attain a university education. But my dream was short-lived when I lost my mom. 4 days, were they 4? 2 days immediately after our PLE, and our dad hardly 2 years after that. Now, that was such a challenge, and we thought that all hope was gone because we were in Kampala, particularly in Mokono, where our father had worked for almost the whole of his entire life. We hardly knew anyone in Kampala. We hardly knew any relative in the city. So it was my elder sister who was 14, myself who was 12 at that time, and my siblings who were 5, 3, and 1.5 years. And here we are left with no hope at all. But to cut the long story short, even in that, you know, in that catastrophe, as I mentioned before, that it is important to focus on the bigger goal. Because guess what? You might be interested to know that I had to even go to class some of my siblings, the 5-year and 3-year-old, sat in class with them. If they had to cry, I had to be kicked out. I had to go out. And for me, that was okay. I had to accept the reality or what it was. All I wanted was that, will I one day be able to attain a university education? Now, thank God for charity organizations. Now you may understand why I'm passionate about charity and giving back, because I really, my heart cries out, my heart yearns out to the young people out there who are underprivileged and are struggling to find an education. So one charity organization that I got to know about accepted to take me as one of their beneficiaries, paid my school fees from that time till my university time. But just before that, I got the dream of being guild president when I was in high school. I was at Chambogo College School, and that is around the same time when Chambogo had the first female guild president, and that was Brenda Nabu Kenya. But when we heard about it, I was like, oh, is it possible for a woman to become a guild president? So there were so many realities coming to me. Trust you me, I was really small, very small at that time, but I felt in my heart that if I ever get an opportunity to go to university, I would stand for guild president. I wanted to become a guild president. But guess what? As I mentioned at that time, I'm under a caretaker home. This is a charity organization. Yeah, for lack of a better word, you call it an orphanage. And I do not have money. And I have no big person around me that I can refer to, because politics has been commercialized, even then, highly commercialized. One of the persons that contested at that time in Makerere, I won't mention their name, I remember it was reported he spent 91 million on a guild campaign and he did not win. So you can imagine the challenge, you can imagine the dilemma, but the dream kept growing, and the more the days came closer, I was sure I wanted to do this. many of my friends, many of my family members actually said this was impossible. They say, Charity, this is unthinkable. And they are right, because where was I going to get this money? I was not working. I was a university student at someone's shelter. I mean, they are dressing me, they are feeding me. I have no nothing. But to cut the long story short, even amidst the mockery, amidst the ridicule, amidst the laughter and the challenges and the negative voices, I decided, I made up my mind that I am going to go for this. And guess what? I started talking to people. I started talking to my classmates. I started talking to people that I considered to be my mentors or people that could help me grow my dream. I identified people who had been guild presidents before. I looked for them. I talked with them. And at the end of the day, I was elected guild president, Chambogo University, 2009, 2010. But this is what happened with the resources. The moment I presented myself, the moment I presented my dream, the moment I shared, call it the manifesto, my manifesto amidst of the Anyakumani syndrome, which has become the order of the day even today. Students started to believe in me. Students started to buy into the idea. And step by step, students started to bring resources. Students gave me cards. Students fueled those cards. They dropped them. All that they were waiting for was for me to give them a schedule for another day. Personally, I must tell you that I have never experienced this before, because it was overwhelming. It was not expected at all that one little young, a small young girl who is an orphan, who had no money, can compete with 7 men and triumph for the highest office, for the highest student office in such a public institution. I do not remember spending even 500 shillings to buy someone a sweet or something in February. I do not remember. Nevertheless, I did not even have that kind of money or that particular money. But what was important, or what I felt was important, is that I did not have to buy to buy support. You either vote for me because you believe in me, you vote for me on merit, you vote for me because of what I represent, because of who I am, because of the leadership that I am offering, not because of the temporary benefits that I am going to give you. Because that is also a reason why we see a lot of corruption tendencies, because you spend a lot of money, and before you know it, when you win the office, you want definitely to get back your money. It is the human instinct. You want to get back your money because you spent it. So briefly, Angelica, that is my story. We can chat more or I can share more experiences on my different social media handles. You can get in touch through that. But for me, what I took out of it all is that it's very, very important for you to focus on your dream. There's a lot of noise around us. There's a lot of discouragement. There is a lot of, no one has ever done it in your family. How the hell do you think you can do it? I mean, all these are around us, even in our own homes and families, even from parents. Now that's a sad one, but even from parents. But we can, against all odds, be able to triumph and achieve our dream. Lastly, my last statement on that, you cannot start swimming unless you jump into the swimming pool. So the only way to do it is to get into the swimming pool.
Thank you so much, Charity. Amazing. I know Charity when she says a little small girl, I certainly understand because I was at the university when she stood for guild president. And I will tell you, if most of you met Charity, you'd realize that most of you here are taller than her, you know? But I will tell you, nothing, nothing was going to stop her. And I just want to recall one statement that if you can see the invisible and believe the incredible, you can achieve the impossible. I will say that again. If you can see the invisible, no one sees it except you in your mind, that's good. And believe the incredible, something is too good to be true, but it's there in your mind. I will tell you what, like Charity has demonstrated to us, you can achieve what many think is impossible. So go for it. Thank you. A question there from someone who is unnamed except by the Gadget Technospark says, hello panelists. Thank you so much for working with the country, regardless of whether you are appreciated or not. And thank you. And I must say that, you know, regardless of appreciation, these panelists are doing it out of passion. And so we really appreciate them. You mentioned that I know that the Lord blesses you, and indeed he does. The question is, how do I focus more on reading with this atmosphere at home? You open a book, then the food burns. And I think to some degree, Alice had touched on it. So Alice, you could just mention a little bit about that, and then we can be able to proceed to the next question. Alice, I will ask you to respond to that question that said, okay, you open a book, the food burns.
Thank you so much, Jesse. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Loud and clear.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
very well.
Yeah. Very well. Thank you very much. When you talk about, I'm opening up a book to read, and then the food burns. What we talked about initially was like, get a schedule that works for you. The moment you get that routine and schedule that works for you, it means that you're going to organize your thoughts, and you're also going to organize the chores that you're supposed to accomplish. If my house chores I'm supposed to sweep the compound, I'm supposed to cook the food, I'm supposed to take care of the children, manage your time. This is a moment whereby you are in charge of your time. You may seemingly see that you have a lot of time on you, but manage your time, create a routine that works for you. First, prepare the food, and then you say, in my day, I'm going to read for 5 hours. How do you allocate those hours? Are you using those hours in the morning? Like say you wake up at 5 and read up to 7, then probably when everybody has gone to bed, you read for another 2 hours. That's entirely upon you. But ensure that you get a schedule that works for you so that you can be able to do what is required of you at home and also do the reading. It's great when you get a schedule that works for you.
Thank you so much, Alice, for responding to that quickly and precisely. And Fred there is asking Alice, is YouTube a good place to be learning from in this lockdown? Again, Alice, would you kindly respond to that in the shortest possible time, and we see if we can have some time for a couple more questions there. Is YouTube a channel, a place you would recommend?
YouTube is a channel I would recommend, depending on the content you want to download from YouTube. There is so much resource, there is so much information. What are you looking out for? If it is something that is going to add value to you, look out for that on YouTube, because there's a lot of resource, there's a lot of information, and you choose things that are going to transform you for the better. So YouTube is a good place.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. And somebody there, Stephen, is asking, many of our facilitators or teachers are too used to the physical mode of operation of disseminating knowledge to students. How do we encourage them to embrace the new normal of virtual learning? Herbert, would you respond to this?
Oh, yes, I would, but I think Aunt Alice would respond to it very well.
Yeah.
So she's a teacher. But, you know, this technology isn't going nowhere. The better we get it, and now that this is a new norm, by the way, I was telling my friends that, hey, even after physical meetings, I would rather actually keep on this virtual, because now I can see we are 95 over 90 over 100 participants. Now, if we were to organize a group of over 100 participants for free, you know how much it would cost. So we are going into a new norm. Technology is here to stay. So it's the high time that we, both students and teachers, embrace this new virtual learning. Thank you.
All right. Alice, would you like to add a few comments to that?
The only comment I would add to that, adaptation is one thing, change of mindset is another. Let everybody change the mind. Everybody thinks that after the lockdown, we shall go back to the physical, mode of operation, whereby we are in a classroom setting. So true, but it is a transition. Let's embrace technology. We are not running back. We are going just forward, and technology will always be a part of us. So let's embrace it with a great mindset change.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Jesse.
Hi, Charity.
Just to add on to that particular question of embracing technology, I work with the Masters in Vocational Pedagogy at Cambogo University, and that is one of the challenges that we have faced, or that we have been facing, because the university is also highly characterized with, young lecturers and old lecturers who actually think the way Miss Alice was saying, they think things are very soon changing and we will go back to normal. So one of the realizations we made is that the competence that some of the staff we have on board do not actually have the competence to manage or operate online learning. So whoever is trying to, engage the teachers, the lecturers at different levels into the new technology, it is important to address their fears. It is important to address their skill gaps. It is important for them to know what to do. So we discovered that, and we enrolled a program, a very simple program where we call it rehearsals, where we would, twice in a month, just meet, do this, go through the technical bits of it. How do I make a presentation online? How do I do this? You can be shocked, you can be surprised that you might take it for granted. It's the knowledge of CAS to assume that actually people know what to do. Ideally, they need to be guided, irrespective of their age, irrespective of their titles. So from my side, that is one submission I think is also key to note.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Charity. And we have a question right here from Brenda. This will perhaps be the second last. There is one that I picked that I saw from the question and answer segment that I thought we could just bring up here discussion before we bring this to a close. And Brenda says, my mental condition has totally changed. I'm psychologically tortured by my parent. I can't stop thinking about it, and it has greatly affected me because I can't read my books anymore. Briefly, what do I do? Okay. Sure, Alice, as a parent, as a teacher, you encounter situations of this kind. Kindly say a word to Brenda. Alice? Okay. Is Alice still with us?
Alice, you are muted.
Oh, sorry, I've unmuted. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, Brenda, I would want to say that I'm very sorry for what has happened to you, and the fact that the psychological torture is brought about by your parent. And as parents, as teachers, home is the most secure place. So if home ceases to have any security for you, then you are going to seek help. But what I would encourage you, Brenda, is to get somebody whom you trust, somebody whom you look up to. Be candid with your truth about what has transpired. I will give you an example of a student I happened to interact with the mother. Now, this student was in this school. Now, this is not the parent, but the teacher was actually abusing this child. And much as it wasn't physical, but mentally, they were abused. Now, of course, Brenda, I appreciate the privacy. You have not divulged what exactly has happened, but I want you to keep it private so that you are helped at that level. But I want to share a story with you, what happened. Now, this girl, she goes to her primary school teacher. The teacher who acted as a senior lady, who would speak into their lives, and she really looked up to her as a mother. So she shared with her, but she was in senior 5. That means that like she last saw her probably 5 years ago. But she went back to her primary school, looked out for her teacher, and shared her ordeal with the teacher. Now, it went on for some time, and then she finally said, I want to change schools. I cannot keep in this school because of this. And she didn't know how to tell the mother and the father that she wanted to leave that school because she was being tortured. And this then she charged the teacher, her primary school teacher, to go and talk to the parents. And of course, the mother felt so bad that her child did not trust her enough. And yeah, it happens depending on how we treat our children. If we are not open spaces, they'll never come and inform us. Now, look here, it's a challenge. It is a parent. I want to encourage you to get somebody you trust. Somebody who you trust, somebody who knows your parents and who can speak to your parents and whom you can speak to. Don't get somebody who will quickly give them excuses. Get somebody who will candidly deal with the situation, but also protect you as a person and protect your privacy. These people are there. Take off time before you share this information, because some people, when you share it, it keeps hurting, but because of what they do thereafter. But find somebody who has maturity in handling such things and will be able to help you, but who can also reach out to your parent and inform them of what has actually transpired in your life. Because you need to get a spot of healing and being able to pick up your life. You've said, I cannot even concentrate on my books. What should I really do? Your primary goal, you're a student and you're supposed to excel in that space. So you need to be protected from all fronts. So I would encourage you, get somebody you trust, somebody you look up to, somebody who knows your parents, who can address this situation. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Alice, for ably responding to that. We have a number of questions, and I'm afraid we are unable to get through them right now, but in one way, we are going to figure out a way to still respond to these questions, and through the email addresses that you used to register, we'll keep engaging with you, and these questions will be shared so that you can get the responses to these questions. I think these are very pertinent questions. And I just want to end with one final question from Derek Baguma. And there was another question that seemed similar, and this is what Derek is asking. Derek is asking, what career advice would you give a university graduate who is still confused about his career path? Okay, how do you know truly of a certain career path is what you are destined to do? A question of self-discovery. And I want to request my friend Herbert. Yes, Herbert, how do you help Derek? Because probably Derek graduated and is wondering, what am I going to do with my life even after graduation? So how do you help this person and many other people that are just like him?
All right, thank you so much, Jesse. And thank you so much, Derek, for that pertinent question. Now, I want to give you an example of my friend who the parents forced in court because parents wanted him to be a doctor, and he was very brilliant. And of course, to succumb to parents' demands, he had to enroll Bachelor of Medicine in the Mast, Mbarara. And he finished. He finished and he gave their degree. The degree was for parents. And now, as I speak, he's at NASA because his passion was in graphics. He studied medicine, but his passion was in graphics, and he's flourishing. He's flourishing in his passion. So, Derek, I want you to go and know what you are passionate at. It seems that your question, you have studied and you don't like what you have graduated in. So you need to discover your passion, and you can make it. For example, I have a business of valuation and surveying. I've never gone to land economics, but with my partners who have that skill, we are flourishing in the valuation and surveying. So you can flourish in your passion, what you are passionate at, you can flourish in there. So I encourage you, don't lose hope. Uh, you you can even ask, friends around, they can identify your talent. Uh, so if you go into the journey of self-discovery, then you can surely flourish in what you want to achieve, in what you want in life. And above all, available. Uh, I think they can give you my contact. I'm available to help you to discover your passion. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much, Herbert. Well put. And for all of us, that is a call for us. Whatever you're doing, continue to discover yourself. I, for one, I did mechanical engineering, and then I came to discover myself in a whole new dimension. I'm now engineering human capital potential. You know, that's what I'm now engineering in. So it is possible. And guess what? The most important thing is that God designed you for a purpose. He planted in you the seed to achieve that. We call it potential, because it is manifested through your passion. So just remember that there is purpose, there is potential, and there is passion, and all that are there to help you to discover a life of true satisfaction. Let's bring this to a close, and I just want to take one round of closing remarks from our panelists. I will begin with you, Charity, and then come to you, Alice, and close with you, Herbert. Charity, if there is one word in just maybe a minute or a half that you could say to a student that has logged into this call this morning, what would you say? Charity.
Thank you so much, Jesse. Thank you so much, panelists. It's been such a great pleasure to share with you, to hear from you, and to also learn from you. And of course, for the rest of the participants as well, I realize Miss Christine Chayonka, who was the AR Chambogo University when I was Guild, is on the forum. Miss who is also a professional counselor, is on the forum. So it's been such an amazing goal. But my parting shots, one, it is very, very important that even as we are going through this kind of experience, this kind of pandemic, when resources are really meager, for us to come back to where we are. There is a time, I think previously, when we were interacting with Miss Alice, and she said, let us get solutions from the spaces where we are. How do we use what we have to get to where we want to go? How do we look at our strength? Let us focus more on our strength. Let us mobilize ourselves. Let us encourage ourselves. What skill is it that we have that we can translate into resources, that we can translate into a project, that we can translate into a great idea that will be a life-changing experience? I implore you to look around you. In most cases, our solutions are with us and they start with us. God bless you so much. Do not faint. We are in this together and it shall come to pass. It is not permanent. Chijakugwa. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Charity. This too shall pass. Well put. Alice, any closing remarks to a student on this call right now?
Thank you so much, Jesse. My closing and parting remarks would be, probably so much has been said, but it's for sure you have picked a nugget or two in this moment. I hope that we have been able to reach out to you depending on the needs that you raised. We are in this together, like Charity has said. It will come to pass, but make sure this season does not go without you bearing any fruit. Learn a skill, read a book or books, empower yourself, learn so much, learn a lot so that at the end of the day, the fruit that you will bear will be worth it. I want to conclude with a statement from my timeless record book. That is the Bible. And this is Paul writing to Timothy, who was a young person, just like any one of us who are on this call. Most of the people we have are young people. And this is what he told him. That was in 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 15. He said, meditate on these things. Whatever nuggets you have received today, kindly meditate on these things. Give yourself entirely to them, and your progress will be evident. When you give yourself entirely to something, your progress is evident. When you develop a positive mindset, people will notice. When you develop a great attitude, people will notice. When you apply the knowledge that turns into wisdom, people will notice. So meditate on these things, give yourself wholly to them, and your progress will be evident. Change yourself and your life will change. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Alice, for that wonderful parting shot. Change yourself and everything else will follow suit. Over to you, Herbert, for your parting shots.
All right, thank you so much, Jesse, Doreen, Samuel, behind the scene, Charity, Alice, thank you so much. I've learned a lot today, and I believe so everyone on call today has learned a lot. Now, my parting remark is no. In all this, we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. For I am convinced that neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, neither the present nor the future, nor any powers, neither height nor depth, nor anything else in creation will be able to separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus our Lord. That is my remarks, that there is nothing that can separate us from the love of God. God has planned for us, a plan to prosper. So that is my ending remarks. Thank you so much, and I have been blessed. I have learned a lot of myself, and may God bless each one of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Herbert. That sounded like a benediction when you go to church and the bishop finally comes up to give you the final blessing. Great. So before we go and chew on these things and meditate on these things, remember to get up every morning, look at that person in the mirror and tell them, you are a conqueror. You are more than an overcomer. You are going to make it no matter what is happening, because this too shall pass. And to finally hit this nail, finally, and bring this to a close as we head for the landing, I would like to invite our Chief Empowerment Officer at Inspired Leaders International, the man that has been behind the scenes, to just give us the way forward from the ILI team, and that is none other than Samuel Bakutana. So Sam, over to you as you bring your final words, our final remarks to our participants this morning. Over to you, Samuel Bakutana.
All right, just to be sure, are you able to hear me, please?
Very well.
Awesome. It's a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, this morning to be able to be part of this Inspired Leaders Students webinar. I would like to appreciate everybody who has come for this very important webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to appreciate our speakers who have done justice to all this. What a precious opportunity. How do we end this? I want to leave us with the Bakutana model of student thriving as we close this. A lot has been spoken today. Alice, as a parent, a teacher, a mentor, and a director of a high school, has shared a lot of wisdom. Herbert Sabiti, as a mentor of young people, as an MD of Ridgeline Uganda, has shared a lot of wonderful wisdom that can make you really young and flourishing. Charity Mwanafunzi, a student, also a former student, a former guild president, and somebody who is working with young people at the moment, has shared a lot of timeless experiences. So how do we bring all of this together? I would like us to go and thrive as students. regardless of what is going on right now, it is possible for you to go and thrive. I leave you with the Bakutana model of thriving. Number one, go and believe in yourself. I mean, this is a statement that has been said over and over again in very many different places, including today on this webinar. That is very critical. If you don't believe in yourself, you have no right to ask anybody to believe in you. Go and believe in yourself, regardless of what is happening right now. Number two, go and aim at excellency. Whatever you are doing in this season, do it to the best of your ability, especially if it is a positive something you're doing. So if I say whatever you're doing, if you are doing idleness, don't do it to the best of your ability. Aim at excellence in every good and perfect thing that you're doing. Excel at what you're doing. As you try to read at that home, in that home where maybe it's not very supportive for you, just aim at doing your best possible. And that's why, number three, you need to keep on keeping on. The home environment may not be appropriate for you. The kind of situation you are going through may not be supportive of your focus, but keep on keeping on. Your parent may not be supportive, keep on keeping on. The data may not be enough for you to tune into the online lectures and lessons. Keep on keeping on. Quitters never win and winners never quit. But make sure you unleash your talents. This could be a wonderful time, a great opportunity when you can work on your passion, on your talents, on the things you are able to do. If you are a singer, maybe this is the time for you to set aside an hour during this time every day and sing your lungs dry. Unleash your talents. It's important that in the meantime, you tame your time. Don't waste your time. When you look at what our panelists have been sharing, you realize they've been telling us to maximize our time as often as possible. Please tame your time. Don't let your time be wild. Domesticate it. Utilize your time very well. Time is the currency of life. When they ask you how old you are, you don't say, I am 17 kilometers old. You don't say, I am 21 kilograms old. You say, I am 16 years old. You say, I am 22 years old. Years are made up of months. Months are made up of weeks. Weeks are made up of days. Days are made up of hours. Hours are made up of minutes. Minutes are made up of seconds. Every second you waste, you have wasted a part of your life because your life is measured in terms of time. Tame your time. Don't waste it in boredom and idleness. Find something to do that is very productive. And also arrange your priorities. This is something that has come through in this webinar, that know what to focus on. Major in the majors, minor in the minors. Don't major in the minors and minor in the majors. Arrange your priorities. Know what is important, and Jesse called it winning. What is winning anyway, your priorities. And second last, nourish your spirit. As you are inside, so shall you be outside. It's key that you work on your inner man during this period. Have times of meditation, times of thinking, times of reflection, times of prayer, times to simply be you, times to nourish who you are in the inside. If you are ugly inside, you are ugly outside, regardless of how you look. Nourish your inside, because how you're going to do things on the outside will depend on the state of matters on the inside. And finally, which is very important, I would like you to go and accumulate many helpful friends in this period. Friends around you, around your home, in your village, in your town, where you are, online. Make sure because it's important for you to have a strong social support network, especially during a time as this. But remember, I'm calling them the helpful ones, because if you walk with 9 fools, you will become the 10th. Don't just accumulate many unhelpful, irrelevant, foolish friends. No, accumulate many relevant and helpful friends. If you look at these 8 keys that I have left with you that form the Bakutana model of student thriving, look at the first letter of each of these points. Believe starts with B. Aim starts with A. Go down to accumulate. You see Bakutana, and that's my name. And that's what I'm calling the Bakutana model. In other words, in this season, go and Bakutanize yourself. Go and Bakutanize yourself. If you do not Bakutanize yourself in a way of believing in yourself, aiming at excellency, keeping on, unleashing your talents, taming your time, arranging your priorities, nourishing your inner man or inner woman, and accumulating many helpful, relevant friends, it will be difficult for you to thrive. But if you do this, I can assure you the sky will not be the limit. It will be the foundation for you to build higher and higher as you thrive. Just know that this is for a moment. This is for a season. Your future is still bright. Your future is still assured. Not all is lost. You are a student today, you will be a graduate tomorrow. You are a young graduate today, you will be a great worker tomorrow. Soon and very soon, your life will take on a different trajectory. It is possible for you. Go and do it. It's been a pleasure being a part of this webinar. As Samuel A. Bakutana, the CEO of Inspired Leaders International, I thank you for tuning in. I thank our panelists for being awesome. I thank Jesse Ainebiona, the Training and Development Associate of ILI, for leading us very well. And most importantly, I celebrate Doreen Buchanan, our Administrative and Marketing Associate, who came up with this very important idea of speaking into the lives of you, the students who are on this call, on this webinar. May God bless all of you. May God bless all the students in high school. May God bless all the students in universities and other tertiary institutions. May God bless Uganda. May God bless Africa. May God bless the world for which he so much loved, for God and my country. Over to you, Jesse.
Thank you so much, Sam. Sam, could you say something small about the evaluation that they are going to receive on their emails? Kindly say that. And also want to add that this has been streaming on YouTube, and the YouTube link, you can get it right from, if you click on live stream, you'll see the link, but it is the YouTube channel for Samuel Bakutana. You can find that on YouTube. Sam, you could say something about the evaluation that is going to come through the email.
All right, thank you very much. We will do our best to send you an evaluation form that will just be, just a small size of the page, half a page, just about a few questions that we would like you to answer so that we know how this went, what went well, so that we are encouraged, but also what didn't go so well, so that next time we can improve it. Otherwise, like Jesse has said, if you go to my YouTube channel, Samuel A. Bakutana, you'll be able to have this once again because it was streaming live. Thank you very much, Jesse.
Thank you all. Wishing you a wonderful day and a great time ahead. Make the rest of your life the best of your life. God bless you.
God bless you. Bye-bye.
Que el eterno sol te ilumine, el amor te rodee y la luz pura interior He